Let us now explore and understand what is matter. Many questions will be in your mind you seek answers for. Hope this video can provide you answers to some of your questions. Enjoy the journey of learning. What is matter? In this particular video, we are going to understand exactly what is matter. We'll look into it in greater details, and therefore I am calling this as telescopic approach for crystal clear in-depth understanding. The idea here is to provide you with solutions and knowledge so that we can have a great foundation to answer questions from our students and children. Every statement about matter causes curiosity in students to learn more. We are going to address these questions in this video, and I hope you find it very interesting and useful to go through it till the end. I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on matter. We'll keep it to middle school science level and extend it just a bit to create curiosity in our young students. We are going to cover these topics: what is matter, understand mass and volume, difference between mass and weight, understand particles, elements, atoms, ions, molecules, states of matter, idea of chemical identity and physical properties, effects of temperature and pressure, and then what is not matter. Now, this is such a beautiful topic which needs a lot of time and in depth discussion. So, we are going to come back to this in many different forms in our playlist. Next video will be on states of matter, and where we are going to consider the change of phases and will use particle theory to explain. Let me now begin with what is matter. Most of you have heard a lot about matter. What I have done here is given you 9 bullet points on what is matter. If you write them in the test paper, you're bound to get full marks, A plus. However, I find that there are many words in these bullet points which are not well understood. In this video, we'll try to make an attempt to understand those key words. And I am very hopeful that this discussion will help our parents and teachers also to answer the students asking numerous questions on this particular topic. So, here are the points which qualify for what is matter and how do we explain it to our children and to our middle school students. Matter is any substance that has mass and occupy space. I'm going to highlight the key words as we go through these definitions. We need to ask a word. Do we understand these really? We need to find the right answers for that. It consists of very small particles like atoms, ions, and molecules. These particles can be tightly bound or closely together or they can be loosely connected and widely spread. Change in temperature and pressure can cause transition from one state to other. Chemical identity of matter remains same in different states. Physical properties change with change of state. There can be matter within matter. Matter cannot be destroyed or created. It can be transformed to different forms. All this is about matter. Obviously, the question is then, what is not matter? Correct. So, well, in the first minute, you know what matter is. And normally the class ends here. However, it is just the beginning of our series on science. Let us explore and understand these terms which are highlighted for you. So let's begin with mass and occupy space, which is volume. So when we talk about mass and volume, what are we trying to say? So mass basically is quantity in matter. Mass is quantity in matter and is measured normally in grams or kilograms. The volume, which refers to capacity, space in three-dimensional units, is measured in liters or milliliters. So you have some idea about it. Now, I will also suggest while you go through this video, try to make notes. Also, learn the scientific way of listening and learning. So, how do we make notes of this? So, here is a slide for you which gives you how you can actually summarize the information which we just talked about. Let's understand what is mass and what is volume. So, what did we say? We say mass is matter contained and is related to quantity of matter. It is measured in kilograms or grams. So, we given units of measurements. Volume is region occupied in three-dimensional space. It is generally measured in liters and milliliters. Makes sense. So, as I was explaining, it's a good idea to make notes. These help. Mass can be measured by weighing balance to compare its mass with a standard mass. So, we have also provided you means of measuring mass in grams or kilograms. So, what we are talking about here is kind of a balance, right? Do you see this balance, right? Weighing balance, which is held from the center, where some standard unit is put one place and the object on the other side. So you measure mass by comparing the two. You get the idea. Perfect. Now, when we talk about mass, sometimes the term weight is also discussed. So, we'll also look into what is the difference between mass and weight. So, mass basically is quantity of matter, correct? But what is weight? Weight is force by which an object is pulled towards earth. So it's some kind of force which pulls it down. So weight actually is not just mass. It is related to mass. You could write that the weight W is equals to mass times the force of gravity G. The units will now be kilogram weight, and the other unit is newtons. So, for our middle school students, this could be slightly difficult now to understand. However, the concept I hope is clear, right? The concept is mass is related to weight, but not the same thing. Weight is the force with which this mass is attracted towards the earth. So, weight is mass into gravity, g. Now, force of gravity is different in different planets, for example, and therefore you realize that the weight of an object may be different in different places. It also changes with the height. Makes sense, right? Now, how do you measure weight? So, in measuring weight, what we really do, when you take a spring like this and attach an object here, in that case, there is a force which is pulling it downwards, and therefore, this measurement will be measuring weight. You get the idea. Earlier, when we were measuring mass, you see, we were when we were measuring mass, we balanced the force of gravity. It was same on both the ends. Do you understand? So that force cancelled, and we got the mass. So that is how you need to understand it. I hope this point is absolutely clear. Now, going back to our strategy, while we learn and listen, it is very important for us to make notes moving forward. So, this knowledge which we gained here will be summarized in some bullets, right? So, understanding mass and weight, mass can be measured by a balance to compare its mass with standard mass, correct? Mass is measured in grams and kilograms. Weight is related to mass but not the same. Weight is the force that gravity exerts on the object. Weight is measured in newtons or kg weight. Weight can be different at different places as the force of gravity changes. Makes sense? So, what we are trying to understand is what is matter, everything related to it. And as we read, we become curious to know more about related things. So, we understand now mass, weight, volume. So, here's a question for you. Is the mass of an object same on Earth and Moon? Is the weight of an object same on Earth and Moon? You can easily answer this question now. Perfect. Now, the second point in our 9 points on what is matter was actually connected with particles. So, what are these particles? So, when we talked about particles, quite a few were listed: atoms, ions, and molecules. So, atoms, ions, and molecules. These are your new keywords. Let's try to understand them. Now, from where this atom come? Well, we know about atomic bomb, hydrogen bomb, hydrogen. So, the atom is hydrogen. So, let me write down hydrogen, for example. So, hydrogen becomes an atom. Now, when a matter is formed with hydrogen, right, this hydrogen bomb, for example, let's say one single is not there, but all the hydrogens they bond together like this. They connect, right, two hydrogen. We sometimes write this as H2. Two atoms of hydrogen combined together. Okay. Similarly, we have another atom of oxygen. I'm writing O for oxygen, and these two, let's say, combine together. O2, oxygen. So we have hydrogen and oxygen as examples of atom before us. Now, hydrogen, oxygen also can combine, and when you combine them, we get water. We say water molecules. In water molecules, the formula H2O is known to many of our students, and I hope they understand what it really means. There are two hydrogens, right, attached with one oxygen. So I'm writing oxygen bigger, right? So let's say this one. O. So we have this molecule of water. We have this molecule of water in which what do we have? We have one oxygen and two hydrogen, right? So you could also say we have one oxygen and with them we have connected two hydrogen. You understand? So that becomes a molecule of water. You can clearly see here that in atoms we have one kind of atom. Now, in molecule, we might have different kinds of atoms also, right? Okay. So, here at this stage, I would like you to introduce one more term, which is elements. 118 elements are known to us. 119th element is also known to us. However, in our table, which you might have seen, I will show you. That is how it looks. A modern periodic table looks like this. I've taken this image from internet and given a reference for it. Well, you can search and you will see enlarged, try to see enlarged image. It will list all the elements known to us in a very orderly scientific way. So here is my hydrogen, the H hydrogen. And we have some other elements here, oxygen being right there. Now, hydrogen and oxygen, given in green, are both gases, right? And they do exist in nature. However, they are very active and therefore they normally will not be just available as an element. Most of the time, pure elements are not really available. They are very reactive, so they mix. There are some metals like gold and silver, they are pure elements which are easily available. Diamond, for example, is another element which is available to us. Well, it's a type of carbon. Correct. So here we have oxygen and then we also have hydrogen. Now, these elements, when they combine, they form water, a molecule. You get the idea? So, in this table, you can read many elements, right? So, we have copper, gold, silver in this group, right? And we have some gases here. The gas here is helium. So, likewise, there are many elements in this periodic table. When atoms of one kind join together, they form an element, right? That's the whole idea. So, getting back to our elements, elements have one kind of atom. So, elements are special matters which have one kind of atoms, but matter can have combination of all the three. So, what about matter? Matter has combination of all particles. When we say particles, the particles could be atoms, ions, or molecules. You get the idea. So matter could have all the three. So that is the general way. Elements are also matter. So I hope now it's becoming slightly more clear. As we move forward, we'll look into these things in more details, right? So coming back to this, what is matter? So, matter is made up of particles. Now, these particles are combinations, right? Sometimes it could be atoms, sometimes it could be ions, sometimes it could be molecules and their combinations. At their combinations. So, these are the particles. So, when I say particle, we may mean atoms, ions, and molecules, right? So, that is what we are constituting as matter. Now, when we talk about matter, and we know these are particles bound together, we have also referred to the term physical and chemical property. Now, if you look into the matter oxygen, for example, it helps in burning. If you want to let the fire be, in that case, you have to provide oxygen. If you want to extinguish fire, cut off oxygen. You get the whole idea, right? Hydrogen burns by itself. But when we combine hydrogen and oxygen, then what happens? Then we get water. So, water extinguishes fire. You see the chemical properties of oxygen, hydrogen, when combined, gives you water, which has absolutely different property, right? Oxygen helps in burning, hydrogen burns by itself. However, when you combine them, it becomes water which can extinguish. So, this chemical property of the three is very unique to itself. You get the whole idea. Perfect. So, this is the chemical property. The physical properties, when we talk about, what are the physical properties? Physical properties relate to, well, like smell, color, state, liquid, solid, or gas. So those are, and more, right? So those are physical properties of matter. Now, the important thing here to understand is then that if the matter changes the state, chemical property remains same. Do you understand? So let's get back to our definition. So we say chemical identity of a matter remains in different states. So when there are different states, chemical property remains same. However, physical properties change with change in state. Now you get the idea. If I take ice, water, and vapor, now we have three different states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. But the chemical property is water only. All the three are different states of water. The chemical property of water is same in all the three, but physical, their appearance is different. So physical property is more about the appearance. You get the whole idea, right? So that is how we distinguish between them, and this appearance is called the phases. In the next video, we will talk about forms of matter. However, at the end, I would like to tell you that we'll discuss four forms of matter, not just three. Okay, most of the time we say three forms, but there are four forms of matter which we are going to discuss, and there are many more. But at this level of middle school, we'll say matter can exist in four different distinct forms, And these forms are solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Now, this form, plasma, may be new for some of our students. Solid, liquid, gas is known to you. The plasma is a form in which we have ions, charged particles. Right? So when we talk about particles, we said atoms, ions, and molecules. That is combination of atoms. And there was ions. Ions are charged particles. How are these charged particles created? Lightning is a huge energy that can cause charged particles, the ions. Our outer surface is always bombarded by electromagnetic and other energy radiations, which creates ionosphere. The northern and the southern lights are also plasma. Electricity in fluorescent lights creates plasma. You will be surprised to know that out of these four forms, can you tell me which is most abundant in our universe? Sun and stars. They are packed with charged particles. It's plasma. So, plasma is the most abundant form of matter in the universe. Make a note of this. Perfect. I'm going to share with you some test questions, a quiz for you, in which that could be a problem, right? Other form of charged particles which we see on the earth. Can you name some? Fluorescent light. So the light which you see is also an example of plasma. The neon lights, for example, correct? So those are also charged particles, and the state of matter in that case is plasma. So with that, we are going to end our video today and continue with forms of matter in the next video. I hope it makes sense and you have understood what is matter. There are so many terms which we have described in this particular video. We are going to come back to them as we move forward to gain more understanding about every key word which we talk. I'd like you to share your thoughts and questions, and I'll try to answer them as we move forward. Thanks for your time and all the best.